What's up, guys? This is Merc Music, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about Black Ops 2. It's not going to be Black Ops 2 gameplay. As a matter of fact, I really just wanted to talk about ideas for Black Ops 2. I don't even know what gameplay I'm going to be using. I'm going to use whatever fits, the time. However, I'm going to be talking about my top 10 list, or top 10 concerns, I guess you can say, for Black Ops 2. And I'm sorry if I'm not talking in the order in which you'd like to hear it, but I'm going to be starting off with the stealth perks. As you guys know, Ghost and Assassin. The perks that are making the community very angry. And we're going to talk about the removal of it. Because one thing that a lot of commentators do is they talk about things they want to see in the game. However, I'm going to talk about the consequences to this, because you can't overlook the consequences. These are the things that developers look at when they consider taking something out or adding something. They have to consider the consequences to doing so. And we look more for the benefits, because that's ultimately what we want to establish when we throw in our ideas. We're looking for some kind of benefit in doing so. So what happens if we remove a stealth perk? Well, there's no way to hide from kill streaks. And that would include UAVs and, like chopper gunners and things like that. So you can't completely remove a stealth perk. However, we do need to have it weakened, and we do need to have it separated amongst the tiers. They need to be broken up more. That way you have to sacrifice a lot of things. The thing that made Call of Duty 4, World at War, and Modern Warfare 2 so great was the fact that you had to basically choose stopping power if you wanted to be a stronger player. If you wanted to get more kills, you had to choose stopping power, because ultimately you'd be killing people a lot faster. And if you chose the stealth perk, well, then you're hidden. However, it's not a really powerful stealth perk, and the benefits just aren't that great if you're using a stealth perk as opposed to stopping power. So, my next thing to talk about is bringing stopping power back in. If you bring back in stopping power, what are the consequences to that? Well, the gun's damage by default will be lowered, because that's ultimately how they tried to, I guess you can say, balance it for Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3. So, if you bring stopping power back in, are we going to need a counter, like Juggernaut? If we bring in stopping power, would we have to bring Juggernaut back? So that's just something I wanted to look at as well. I don't think they're going to be bringing stopping power back in for Black Ops 2. However, stopping power did make the game very interesting, because you had to choose, and I always chose stopping power. I wouldn't take anything over stopping power in Call of Duty 4 to Modern Warfare 2, but we don't have that choice now, which is why these games are changing so drastically and people aren't enjoying them as much. Those are just my thoughts, though. The removal of death streaks. I can't believe I messed that up. But anyway, if we remove death streaks, what is that going to be doing to the game? Well, players that are very good, it's not a problem to them. They usually don't die. Me as a player, I only use Juiced. I used to use Hollow Points. However, I realized I like Juiced more just because you're able to run out of the spawn faster and get back into the gunfight. So, death streaks, the removal of them, that would make me very happy. However, you have to consider the consequences for the bad players. The reason why they're in there is because it gives really, really new players, it's hard to distinguish between new and bad, because they generally fall into the same category. But these death streaks are supposed to give those, new players the ability to survive against veteran players who have been playing Call of Duty 4 for 5 years. Or, well, Call of Duty in general, but, the whole series for 5 years. It gives them this opportunity to actually get some kills. However, it is not really helping them get better. You will get better as a player if you don't use death streaks. If you have to rely on your own gun skill. Putting you into a death streak means, you can get 6 deaths, maybe 5 with Hardline Pro. And you can fall into Dead Man's Hand and get, a lucky kill or 2 here and there. That's not going to make you a better player. So, when we think about the consequences of removing death streaks, I actually don't think there are many. I think it would be smart to remove death streaks altogether. Or, well, actually, yeah, that's basically it. Because, something like Martyrdom, that was considered to be a handicap for players who needed to get extra kills in Call of Duty 4. Now it's a death streak, and I don't just see the point, or I don't see the point of death streaks at all. I don't know. I really think the removal of them has no consequences at all. It will just make players focus on being better players rather than focusing on their death streak. Now, for the removal of the Nuke or the MOAB, this is where it gets a little bit controversial, because the Modern Warfare 2 Nuke was a game-ending nuke, and Modern Warfare 3, they have the MOAB, which just gets you some extra kills. I like the idea of the MOAB because it's more of a, I guess you can say it's more of a commodity. It's more like, yeah, I got a MOAB. That's, it's like a challenge almost. The nuke is more like, okay, I get a nuke. I get to end the game. Players who have been playing the objective the whole time and dying are now suffering because of that. So what are the consequences of removing either one and not even having a nuke or MOAB in, Black Ops 2? There really isn't a consequence, because it seems like regardless the way the videos are, like all these Nuke and MOAB gameplays are uploaded to YouTube, it seems to be more of an achievement more than something that ruins the game, Players aren't doing this to ruin the game. Players aren't calling in nukes because they just hate the game. However, I don't know. It can be, like, it seems like people can achieve the Nuke and MOAB pretty easily. Maybe if they were to bring it back, set it at a higher streak, maybe at like 30 or 35, make it just a little bit more difficult, because the fact of the matter is players are going to get nukes and MOABs regardless of how high you set that streak. It could be 100. Regardless, somebody is going to be able to pull it off. That is a guarantee. I have no doubt in my mind that somebody would be able to get it regardless of how high you set it, unless you set it at like 1,000 or something ridiculous. However, there really aren't many consequences for removing the Nuke or the MOAB. It's just another challenge that players set after. However, the removal of the Nuke or the MOAB will make the game a little bit more stale. That's something that actually makes the game a little bit more interesting. Those are just my thoughts as well. Now, bringing vehicles back in. I think this would be very interesting. Call of Duty is focused on the gun-on-gun gameplay. However, we've noticed that since players, they hide in corners, they use the stealth perks, and they make the game very slow-paced, vehicles could speed this up. I'm not 100% sure. If they brought in, like some jets or some tanks, I think it would just add to, it would make Black Ops 2 a more action-packed game. And that's one thing they look it's one thing they look to add to the gaming experience of their own games. They want to make them more interesting and fun. And I think vehicles can do that. Whenever I watch top 10 plays for Battlefield 3, I look at the vehicle plays and I'm like, this is amazing. But we don't have anything like this in Call of Duty because they haven't added vehicles since World at War. So I think it would be very interesting to add some vehicles. The consequences, though, are that the maps have to be designed around the vehicles, and this means larger maps, and I personally don't like larger maps. I like playing the smaller maps, and it takes away from the gun-on-gun gameplay. So those are the consequences. There's probably a lot more, but I'm trying to speed this up, as you can probably tell. Kill streaks. This is where it gets very difficult, because kill streaks are kind of deciding how the game is going to play out. Modern Warfare 3, we have support, assault, and specialist kill streaks. And apparently, from what I've heard from rumored or leaked information, it's probably not 100% accurate anyway, but apparently specialist kill streaks are going to be changed, and they're possibly going to make a return in Black Ops. Or Black Ops 2, what am I saying? Personally, I only want specialist kill streaks. That's all I really use. Sometimes I use support. I don't really use assault because, it takes away from the whole gun-on-gun gameplay thing. I don't like that. But 357 kill streaks is what I was suggesting for Black Ops 2. It was the most simplistic design for the game. It made it fun and interesting. Players preferred it more than anything else. And adding kill streaks ultimately promotes camping, regardless of whether you're camping the entire time or you're camping one away. You're still camping, and it does take away from the game because you might be asking one of your teammates, can you help Cap B? We need to get both flags so we can control the spawns and win the game. And they say, no, I'm one away from a chopper gunner or something like that. It ruins the objective of the game more often than not, and I don't know. I want to see simpler kill streaks, possibly just specialists. That would be nice. What would the removal of the bigger kill streaks do? It doesn't really do anything. It just takes away from players' ability to hide more, and whether you rush for your big kill streaks or not, it takes away from the gun-on-gun gameplay. So I don't think there are that many consequences if we were to make the kill streaks more simplistic. Those are just my thoughts, though. These are all my opinions. So, you can agree, you can disagree. Just let me know what you think about certain topics in the comments as well. The destructible environment, I don't really know how to phrase it or how it's said. However, Battlefield has, the destroyable environment. Like, you can fire an RPG at a building, and the building will collapse, and the rubble can actually kill players. I think that is amazing. I think it's so cool, and it really ultimately comes down to the game's engine. And I'll talk about that in a bit, because the game's engine determines a lot about how the game's going to play out. But I think, this interactive environment, I don't really know what it's called, but basically when you can shoot buildings and blow them up and kill players and stuff like that and destroy the map, I think that's really cool. It's so much more action-packed, and I think it would add so much flavor to the game, I guess you can say, because Call of Duty, to me, is actually getting kind of stale. And I think there needs to be something. There needs to be something about Black Ops 2 that makes players want to be interested in playing it, and I think that would be awesome. What are the downsides to that? Well, you have to design your game around that. That's really all it is. It comes to the developers. It's basically up to the developers to decide whether or not they want to do this. It's going to be difficult for them to design it, and it might even require updates in the engine. So let's talk about the game engine. Black Ops. I'm not even talking about Black Ops 2. Black Ops ran on a heavily modified version of the 3.0 engine. And the reason why they did this is because they were too lazy to write new code for new engines. You know, if they were going to use 4.0 from Modern Warfare 2. They have stuck with 3.0 since Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty 4 had the 3.0 engine, World at War had a modified 3.0 engine, and then Modern Warfare 2 introduced a new one which had better graphics and better hit detection as well, which is why a lot of players actually liked Modern Warfare 2 more. And then, you know, Black Ops, they stick with the 3.0, however they heavily modify it. And then Modern Warfare 3 has 5.0. What is going to happen to Black Ops 2? The game engine is going to decide a lot. It's going to decide the graphics quality, it's going to decide the hit detection and things like that. And, you know, there's a lot of other things that the engine will determine. However, they really need to upgrade the engine. If we are not seeing, you know, not 3.0, we don't want to see a heavily modified 3.0. We want to see a brand new engine, possibly. That would make Black Ops 2 an amazing game. Or they can use Modern Warfare 3's 5.0. It would give it much better graphics and better hit detection. So there's really no downside to upgrading the engine, except you have to write new code. So it's ultimately up to the developers. I want to cover two last things, and then I'll finish up my 10. I want to talk about snipers. Because in Black Ops, they had decided to initially kind of nerf quickscoping by adding more sway. And then eventually they had more and more patches that eventually brought it to I guess you can say, a fair level. So I wanted to talk about sniper lobbies, because they haven't even introduced one kind of sniper lobby community playlist for Modern Warfare 3 or anything like that, and a lot of players are demanding it. What are the consequences to that? Well, the montage making community on YouTube will probably be a little bit disappointed, because they'll start calling each other out. You know, they'll be like, hey, that's a sniper lobby, it's not as good as a clip, you know? That's really not like, you know, a first world problem or anything like that. But let's look at quickscoping not returning. You're going to scare away the sniping community, obviously, if you take away quickscoping like you did in Black Ops. And, you know, if you scare away snipers, they have to go to different games, and you want to make your game as enjoyable as possible for all kinds of players. So I think they need to find some kind of medium and kind of just leave it where it's at, you know, maybe at where Modern Warfare 3 is. People say Modern Warfare 3 sniping is too easy, and I agree, it is a little bit easy. If they can make it a little bit more like Call of Duty 4, I think that would be amazing. However, the chances of that happening are very slim. Just my thoughts on that. However, to wrap things up, I'm going to talk about the melee system, because this has been something that's very controversial as well, especially in Modern Warfare 2, where you could, you know, use commando and lunge across the map and stuff like that. But anyway, the melee system, people have been talking about making knives a 2-hit kill. Some people have been talking about, you know, you have to take out the knife first, or make it, you know, like a primary, secondary weapon. You have to be able to choose the knife. Now let's, you know, what if it's a 2-knife kill? You're going to be very disappointed when you go to pull out a knife and you don't panic knife somebody and you don't get a kill, especially if you're like one off of a nuke or something like that, or you're off a very big kill streak. That's going to be disappointing to you as a player. So I don't think a 2-knife kill is really a solution. However, if you really think about it, you know, a knife shouldn't be more powerful than bullets. It doesn't make sense. However, I think a reasonable solution would be the fact that you either have to choose it as a gun, or you have to pull it out and, you know, carry it with you. That way you're not panicking in a situation. It should take at least 1 second to pull out, and then you have it ready, and then if you need to knife somebody, you know, you just swipe them. I think that would be pretty cool. Those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about my Black Ops 2 ideas. If you have any, you know, comments or concerns, just leave a comment. And I don't know what gameplay I'm going to be using, but if you enjoyed the gameplay, drop a like if you enjoyed it, and that's basically it. I will see you guys later.